Ray, with this young crop of players, and we were just talking about it, I think it was between break, do you think there will be one offer sheet made this year? Because my answer is no.
I thought the offer sheets are coming for Kapanen and Janssen, guys like that. The high-end guys are always a challenge because you need the cap space, you need the picks. And in most cases, if you have both of those things, you're not very good. So I don't know. They're going to talk to other teams, some of the RFAs, and they should, because if you can leverage something away, absolutely. See if you can work yourself into an offer sheet. But the problem is, as soon as you put your pen on that paper, it takes a lot of courage, because you know that if the team walks and takes the draft picks, you're leaving, whether you really intended to or not. You basically become, by signing an offer sheet, and I don't have a problem with this at all, but by signing an offer sheet, you become a mercenary more than anything else.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that gets brought up enough in terms of what these players are potentially dealing with here. Not only Marner, I mean, any of them can do it, and you're putting yourself out there into the great unknown. You know, you could be using it as a leverage, then all of a sudden you wake up and you're playing somewhere else.
Well, it's like I was thinking, like, why don't these bad teams do it? But then maybe you can't get good players to actually sign them. Like,
yeah, they want to use it as a tool, and then all of a sudden it comes like go time. They're like, I don't want to actually go there.
I'm not playing there. No way.
Yeah.
And it
like
changes everything.
What happens if they're the agents telling Kyle Dubas, we've got an offer sheet. We got an offer sheet. What if Dubas says, yeah, go sign it? And you're like,
then your leverage disappears.
And I don't
that
think
should be the approach. Go sign it.
I don't think
go
that's
sign
far-fetched.
it.
I don't think that's far-fetched. Like, I think, but let's be honest, I think Dubas would probably prefer to control it and say, instead of that, let me try to work out a trade maybe.
Or what if we give you this, where it's not quite that much, but it's close.
But it may end up happening that way. And again, maybe not only in Toronto, or not in Toronto at all. It could be any of these different spots throughout the league.
Well, why not like Sebastian Aho? Nobody talks
down in Carolina.
I guess because he plays in Carolina.
Yeah.
There's a report they offered him 8 years times 6.
Times 6?
If that's
He's not
true,
signing that.
That I don't know how he could even contemplate that.
It was all over
Twitter today. Would you not say to them? Would you not send an email back and say, clearly you've made a mistake with the numbers here?
Yeah.
Like, that's not even close.
No. That's insulting.
Wouldn't it be nice to be insulted by someone offering you $6 million a year?
Absolutely.
Like insulted. Like you disgust me.
Yeah.
Can I ask Ray and Jeff, because you guys were players, would you be, sorry, Brian, you didn't make the league.
Go ahead, Jonas.
Wouldn't you be pissed if you were one of these other star players and you're on this, you can pick a guy, you're on this deal that clearly looks now like a massive, massive bargain, and you're going to have
a Scheifele or a McKinnon?
Yeah, one of those guys, exactly.
Once you put pen to paper, you cannot look at it as...
But wouldn't you be looking back and being like, why didn't we do this myself? Like, why didn't we push it?
No, because at the end of the day, the deal was right at the time, and you looked at it and said, you know what? I have an opportunity to make a lot of money and make a great living. And that's what you decided on. And at the time, that's what made sense, and you got to live with it. You cannot have that analysis where it's like, man, I screwed myself. You think Mark Scheifele, he's one of the best players in the league. I'm sure he doesn't go to bed at night saying, man, I got screwed. Guy makes $6-something million.
I do know that it does rub a burr in some of these young guys. Like they know that Scheifele knows he's looking at Kyle Connor's going to make more money than him, or just as much money as him.
Yeah.
And it's not the same, but he's got to suck it up, because there's no way to change it. In McKinnon's case, I think he was coming off like a 44-point year when they signed him to that deal. I remember, the narrative being, wow, that's a lot of money for Nate McKinnon. And, of course, now Nate McKinnon and Mark Scheifele, you go, wow, these guys are getting a fraction of what they should be paid. But O's 100% right. The second you write your name on that contract, it does you no good to look at anybody else's, because it can't change. It's not like in some other sports they can, like in football, they rework the contract and they push more bonus money and all that. Not in hockey. It's down, the paper's signed and that's it. You're done.
Well, I think what you're getting to, Jonas, is just the negotiating process.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even, okay, the contract, let's say the number was the same thing. But this is where William Nylander really might have changed the league forever.
Or Draisaitl?
Well, Draisaitl, but they gave it to him like July 1st.
Yeah, true.
Like, Nylander stayed in Sweden until November 30th as an RFA.
Yeah. It's
He'd
like
been in the league for 2 years.
He got on top of the wave and kind of let it.
And he just said, I don't care. I'm not just taking the first offer you give me.
Mm-hmm.
Where, again, maybe in the end, Scheifele and McKinnon and all those guys get the same money, but I wonder if they look back and say, why didn't we wait until training camp to just put a little more pressure instead of just taking the deal? Because
I wonder, but I also wonder on the other side if managers will now say, yeeks, and now Toronto's stuck with this contract that, probably pushed them farther than they wanted to. Maybe it's best if we just sit on it for the rest of the year.
Oh, that's hard,
fascinating.
Man. That's hard.
That'd be fascinating.
It is. Well, yeah, but it is hard. Or maybe you trade him. Or why would you sign a contract that in theory can be a millstone contract if you're not sure about it? They got that. You remember what that was like, Jonas? It got down to the end, and it felt like it felt wrong. It felt odd. It didn't feel like a good fit. It didn't feel like both sides were really super happy with the deal.
But now you look at that contract, Ray, and it's going to be fine. It's going to, like, any team would take that contract, wouldn't they?
Well, would they?
$7
million for the next 5 years? 6-9, I'd take that.
He's still got a lot to prove, though. Let's not pretend like William Nylander
let's not crown him a 35-goal scorer yet.
No, 22 tops.
Yeah, let's
22.
not. Well, that's
I'll
what he
take that
scored.
bet.
No, he's
right
a 22
now.
goal scorer, 21. He's never scored more.
Mm-hmm.
My point is maybe there's a harder line that teams will take. Maybe they won't. Maybe we'll get to July 1st and there'll be a bunch of goofy contracts that will sit there and go, man, they did it again. Like, what the hell are they thinking? All they do is complain about the cap, and then they go cut themselves off at the knees by handing out some of these deals on July 1st.